So, you guys know that I have taken it upon myself to single handedly combat narcissists, at least by putting out information. I'd rather put on a cape and go around and round them up, but I can't. All right, that's not legal. So instead, I will spend time trying to explain to other people what a narcissist is, how to spot them, and how to protect yourself from them. You guys know that I've had two in my life. And the first one, when I first knew the narcissist, I did not know he was a narcissist. I didn't even know what a narcissist was because we were like kids. This was like when I was 23. We talking like 20 years ago. Maybe probably more. And I did not know what a narcissist was, and I didn't even hear that term really good until after college, for real. And I did not recognize that this person was one until I saw them many years later. The second narcissist is Voldemort, and they're two very different kinds of narcissists, and this is why I missed it. Voldemort is a grandiose narcissist, a grandiose, malignant, loud narcissist. If you meet him, you know he's a narcissist. As soon as you have one conversation with him and he really talks, you're like, okay. Everybody that meets him always says the same thing. He's bizarre. He's a very bizarre person, and and I didn't say weird for a reason, because some of us are weird, but when I said bizarre, it's like something is wrong. It's something is off, but a covert narcissist is not like that. So you could know them and not even know that they're a narcissist. You could know them for years and not even know. And this person that's a narcissist, when I knew this person 23 years ago, when I met this person 23 years ago, I didn't know that. I just know he was kind of strange. It was a weird vibration, like a used car salesman, that kind of thing. But I didn't know exactly what that meant. So when this person came back into my life 2 years ago, they told me they were a diagnosed narcissist. And I was like, okay. Now, by now, I've dealt with Hannibal. I've dealt with Voldemort by now. So when Hannibal said, I'm a narcissist, I'm like, for real? Not bizarre like Voldemort. You're not grandiose like Voldemort. You're really a narcissist? But yeah, because there are different kinds. And I never realized that at this time. So Hannibal got away with being a covert narcissist for almost 2 years, and me knowing that something was wrong, me calling it. I called it from day one, and he kept gaslighting. And I kept being like, And at the end, it blew up, and everything that I said it was from day one, it was. So today, I'm going to explain to you what a covert narcissist is, because they're so different from the other kind, from the grandiose ones or any of the other overt narcissists. So I'm going to explain to you what they are, and I'm also going to explain to you how to spot them. So if you meet one, get away from them. Don't spend no time with them. The way that a covert narcissist or any narcissist really gets you is by getting in here. And they only get in here through here. Don't talk to them. Don't listen to nothing they have to say. And you're good. You're good. They can't gaslight you. They can't lie to you. They can't play in your head. You're good. Okay? So, my name is QueenAusetHeru. And thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. If you like this video, let me see, what else am I supposed to tell you? I'm supposed to tell you to give it a thumbs up. I'm supposed to tell you to leave us a positive comment in the comment section. I'm supposed to tell you to pass this video on to other people who need to know how to spot. Everybody needs to know how to spot a covert narcissist because they're very, very crafty. And if you want to get a reading done, please hit me up on social media or email me. All of my information is underneath this video. There's also resources underneath this video. I left them cut and paste under there for anybody who's dealing with a narcissist or just got away from one, narcissistic abuse, all that kind of stuff. There's lots of resources that are underneath this video. All right, so I think that's it. Let's get started. So what is a covert narcissist? All right, let's get our definition. Let's get a working definition. All right, so first they're going to tell us what a narcissist is in general. A narcissist is what one may be called if they believe they are superior to others. The narcissist definition refers to a person who has an exaggerated admiration of themselves and has no consideration for others. What narcissistic means is that a person focuses on their needs, their own needs and desires, and ignores the needs of others. Now, if somebody is a grandiose narcissist, they're going to be very exaggerated in their admiration. It's going to be very obvious. But if they're covert, like I'm getting ready to read you, it's not so obvious. It's very sneaky. A covert narcissist describes a person who displays narcissism in a more discreet manner. This type of narcissist is shyer, more reserved, often hiding their sense of entitlement. Covert narcissists have a general sentiment that they are better than others. They have grandiose beliefs about themselves and their ideas and talents. They often lack compassion and struggle to maintain relationships with others. An example of a covert narcissist would be someone who displays a fake smile and internally judges others as they speak. Another example would be a person who is resentful when others don't appreciate their intelligence or talents. So, as you can see, the difference between the two is that one of them is overt. They're exaggerated. They're loud about it. Voldemort will sit and tell you how handsome he is. This is the cringiest shit he used to always do, right? He sit and talk about himself in the third person or the second person or the first person. He'll talk about himself, about how handsome he is, how great he is, how wonderful he is with women, how great he is in bed, what a wonderful worker he is, what a wonderful dad he is. He just sits and brags on himself during a conversation. And you're sitting there like, are you trying to convince yourself or me? Like, who are you trying to convince? And the answer is both. He's trying to convince you. He's trying to gaslight you into believing it. And he's trying to convince himself, because deep down inside, he knows he's a piece of shit. There's a deep insecurity with narcissists. They act like they're so grandiose, but deep inside, you gotta know you ain't shit, dog. You got to know. But the covert narcissist, like I said, Hannibal the cannibal, is subdued. They're discreet. They're reserved. They're shy. Hannibal is not boastful. He's not. He would never sit there and brag on himself and how great he was. As a matter of fact, he would do the exact opposite, and we're getting ready to see why. So he's not boastful. He's not bragful. He's not exaggerated. His narcissism has mostly to do with not caring about the needs of others and trying to manipulate and gaslight people to take care of his needs without taking care of theirs, not giving a shit about theirs, That's where his narcissism comes in. So if you know a covert narcissist and a overt grandiose narcissist, they're different. Their personalities are very different. So you might not make the connection. You may be like when Hannibal came back 2 years ago, it was more than 2 years now, but when he came back in 2020, when he came back in 2020, or was it 2022? I think it was 2022. There we go. So when he came back in 2022 and he told me he was a narcissist, I was sitting there like, for real? Thinking he's not bizarre like Voldemort. How is that? And this is how. Because these two types of narcissists are completely different. And according to what I've read, the covert narcissist is more deadly because most of us don't know they're narcissists. Because think about it, they're covert with it, they're discreet with it. The only people that really know, like I've talked to people in Hannibal's life, the only people that know that Hannibal is a narcissist are the people that are close, the people that he exhibits this uncaring lack of compassion with. Everybody else thinks he's a great guy. Because he's so polished. He got on his wool suit. He got his perfect haircut on his big fat ass head. He got his nails done. Certain men nowadays get their nails done. I'm kind of with it. And so his nails are done, but he looks polished is the point. So You're not thinking he's a narcissist. You're like, oh, Hannibal's a great guy. He brings donuts every Friday. You know, everybody thinks he's a great guy except those who get to know him. And this is something that's very common. Hannibal's a Libra, and this is very common with Libras. The ones that are unbalanced and low vibrational, they pretend to be great people, and the rest of us fall for it because they appear to be great, but they're wearing a mask. You see? So that's what it's talking about, that covert versus that overt, grandiose narcissist. So the psychologist said they are the ones who go under the radar the most often. They are the ones who often people never know. They rarely get treatment because narcissists rarely get treatment in general. And the covert ones don't usually find out they're narcissists, so they usually don't go. You know, they usually don't get better. Now, before I explain how to know when somebody's a covert narcissist, let me explain something called narcissistic supply. Every narcissist, regardless of if they're grandiose and overt or if they're covert and discreet, has a supply. They call it the narcissistic supply. Narcissistic supply really refers to those people who provide a constant source of attention, approval, admiration, and adoration for the narcissist. Now, this I call energy, basically. So every narcissist has a supply of people that are giving them energy. It could be exes, it could be current lovers, it could be family members, it could be people at work, but these are basically people who they're mooching off. They're vampires. They're vampiric, as they call it. So these people are sucking off these other people's energies. A lot of times it's their significant other. Most narcissists have 3 or 4 lovers, and they suck off their energy constantly and don't give back. You know, they don't give back that energy to these people. So let's look at the 12 identifying traits of the covert narcissist. Number 1, always plays the victim, wanting your sympathy. So the covert narcissist wants your sympathy. That's your energy. You're constantly giving them your energy. I always felt sorry for Hannibal. Always. And he played on that sympathy because he always talked about how awful his childhood was and how bad his mom treats him now, supposedly. After all this was over, I questioned all these things now because I'm like, narcissists lie constantly. So is any of this even true? His mom could be some sweet little old lady sitting in the yard feeding the pigeons, you know? And I'm thinking, you know, she's this abusive mom who chased her son down the street with a broom and is a raging alcoholic, you know? And he always tells these stories about his mom, even as a grown-ass 50-something-year-old man. He tells these stories to get sympathy from people so that people will feel sorry for him and then put up with his shit. That's really what it is. So narcs, covert narcs, will always play victim in every story. They're the victim in every story. The victim or the martyr in every story. This is how you know they're covert narcissists. It's like people always doing things to you. Like, always? That's impossible. Because in life, yeah, people do things to us, but it's like, it takes 2 to tango. So how did you get into these situations? Like, what is going on? Why are you allowing these things? You know, it just brings up more questions. But the covert narcissist doesn't answer the questions usually. They just want to get the sympathy. Number 2, tendency to show smugness and superiority. He is the most smug bastard I've ever met in my fucking life, you know? And it's just not even, it's just attitude. That's all attitude. They just come off very smug and very superior and very better than other people. And he doesn't always say that to the person, but he'll say to me, because I always said that, Libras always talking crap. Libras are always talking shit, and they're usually talking shit to an Aquarius who's in the corner cracking the fuck up because we think that shit is funny, and sometimes it's not. But he would say little crap about people. He would talk shit about people in a joking kind of way, But looking back on it, I'm like, that was him showing his superiority, over these people and being smug about how great he is. And he didn't say, oh, I'm great. He would juxtapose that person. He would compare himself to that person so you can make the comparison that he's great. So you can see his superiority and pick up on it and maybe even speak on it, that kind of thing. 3, exaggerating their own importance, self-absorbed. He never acted like he was overly important. As a matter of fact, he was more self-deprecating, and this was in an attempt to get more sympathy. But he did often, I think all day, every day, was self-absorbed. Self-absorbed. I remember one of his supplies when I was talking to her was telling me how she had surgery on her arm or her wrist. And she was saying to me how he basically told her she was a burden to him because during this surgery she couldn't do anything. If your wrist get operated on, especially both of them, but even just one, it's going to be harder to do things that you normally can do. Simple things like opening the door, turning the doorknob, And she told me he treated her like she was a burden because she needed help during that time. And I'm like, how self-absorbed can you possibly be? Somebody you supposed to care about had surgery and you treat them like a burden? Seriously? That's self-absorbed. And that's self-absorbed in the negative. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with being absorbed with yourself, into yourself, caring about yourself, loving yourself. I think that's a good thing. But in the negative, when you're self-absorbed to the point where other people's issues are a burden to you, but yet and still when he had surgery or when he had anything go wrong, this person was Johnny on the spot. That shit is messed up. Okay? And that's some covert narcissist shit. The next one says they shows extreme selfishness, taking advantage of others to reach their own goals. He has been selfish the entire time I know him. The people that he uses as his supplies, he's constantly doing things like this to them, showing that extreme selfishness, taking advantage of them, using these people to reach his own goals. So I'm going to use you to take care of my home, or I'm going to use you to take care of my needs in different ways. I'm going to use this person to do this. It's always him using other people to advance himself. And then not caring what the other person needs, not caring about how they feel, not caring about having consideration for them, not caring about their feelings, but using them constantly to get ahead and to get what he needs, just sucking off their energy. Number 5, constant craving for acknowledgement. He constantly needed acknowledgement, but he didn't have the adult capacity to just ask. Just ask for reassurance. I would sometimes say, like, do you need reassurance? Because if your partner needs reassurance, if your friend needs reassurance, give them reassurance, right? So I would ask sometimes, like, do you need reassurance? And he would be like, at first he would say no. And then after a while he would admit it. So what I got from that is that he would need acknowledgement. So instead of just asking for acknowledgement, he would do something like something self-deprecating to get acknowledgement. Or he would tell me something that he accomplished to get acknowledgement. And he would downplay it because he knew that I'd be like, oh, that is so awesome. Like, for example, well, this week I made my quota and my whole team got a raise because we made our quota, And then right after that, he'd say, but it wasn't really a big deal. I didn't really do much, because I'm going to be like, oh my God, that is amazing. And he would downplay it. So the more he downplayed it, I would play it up because I'm thinking this is just insecurity. I'm like, oh, he's just insecure. And I'm pushing it up. I'm like, oh my God, that is amazing. So I'm coming at it from that angle and come to find out that's exactly what he wanted. He wanted that acknowledgement without having the balls to just say, I need some acknowledgement right now. I need some encouragement right now. you know? So instead, they will emotionally manipulate you by self-deprecating, so you'll do it on your own. That's how bad the gaslighting gets with a covert narcissist. They're always coming at you from a different angle. Uses passive aggressive behavior to make themselves look superior. So passive aggressive behavior is when you are being aggressive, but you're trying to make it look like you're not being aggressive, you know? And some of the times being passive aggressive is something that actually I prefer than the person being aggressive sometimes. But it just depends on the situation, right? So he had a lot of tendencies to do things that were considered to be passive aggressive. Like he would say some smart hot shit to be passive aggressive. Like one day I was talking to him about getting something from the store, and his response to me was, well, I don't have people going to the store for me. I don't have people shopping for me because I don't go to the store. I don't go to the store. I gave up going to the store a long time ago. I hit Uber Eats. There's a grocery section. I punch the stuff that I want and they bring it to my front door. Okay? I stopped going to the store during the pandemic. I was like, nope, people got germs. Okay? And I never started back up for real. So he's taking a jab at me like, oh, I don't have people shopping for me. Maybe you should since you're so busy. You know? So it was like just a little passive aggressive jab. It wasn't a major thing, but it was something that I noticed because that's the kind of thing that covert narcissists do. Passive aggressive jabs and other passive aggressive methods as well. Uses judgmental and critical remarks. That's one of those judgmental critical remarks, focusing on their own conceited views. So here we go with the judgment. Here we go with the criticism. And of course, his view was some bullshit about how I need to go to the market because he got to go to the market. So here we go with that judgmental shit. And I was just like, okay. And I let it keep on. God kept on moving. Extreme lack of empathy. We talked about him not caring about other people's feelings. We talked about how he did that with the other supply, with the whole thing. Another thing he did with another supply, and this supply he's actually married to, right? Because Hannibal is in an open relationship. Well, he was anyway. I don't know what he's doing now. So one of the things that she was talking about when it comes to, let me get the point. Because I want to tell y'all, I got to tell y'all this crazy ass story. Okay, this is the story about lacking empathy. Okay, extreme lack of empathy. So this person is having, the surgery I was talking about on the wrist, can't do stuff, and he is on some other shit. He's on some other stuff, right? So another situation that happened with this same person is he had another supply, right? And the other supply, we'll call her supply number 2. Supply number 2 had a child that went to school where supply number 1 worked. So you can imagine how hairy this is, right? So supply number 1 comes and tells him, supply number 2 is at my job and this is really a problem, because they had words, back in the day, you know how it is, because he was at one point was seeing both of them at the same time and then ended up getting married to one of them, but still seeing the other one as well as other people, and wasn't in an open relationship, was just cheating, and then ended up in an open relationship with the person that he married. So she was telling me that she said to him, well, this woman, her kid is at my job, and this is a thing, and he's still messing around with this woman. You still messing with this supply, and her kid go to school at my job. Like, what are you doing? And he told her, lack of empathy, get over it. Okay? And not so many words. She said he told her that was something she had to just get over. He didn't even care. He didn't even want to discuss it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting there like, you could have at least talked to her about it. Lack of empathy, didn't care how she felt, didn't care how it hurt her feelings. We had a situation in October. didn't say nothing to me, didn't talk to me about it, didn't care how I felt. You know what I'm saying? Lack of empathy. He don't care about anybody but himself. And that's how you can tell a covert narcissist. Extreme sensitivity to criticism. So, like I said, he lacks all this empathy, but if you're critical of something that he does, he's extremely sensitive to it and upset with you. And now want to get passive aggressive, you know? And that's one of those things you will see with the covert narcissist. So, as you can see, all of these things are very subtle. So, it's very easy to miss them unless you're really paying attention. Inability to form intimate relationships. He has intimate relationships with a lot of people, but he doesn't connect or commit to any of these people. He just uses all of these people as his supply as needed. You know, just like going to the bank, get some money out, keep moving. But there's no emotional investment in these relationships. There's no commitment. He's always cheating on somebody that he's committed to. And then when the relationship is open, you would think that would make things better, right? He still doesn't, because he's still lacking compassion for the people that he's dealing with. So it's still bad. It's just now everybody know. It's still bad, but everybody know what's going on. Gets bored easily. Covert narcissists really do get bored extremely easily, especially if it's not about them, because everything is about them, right? So if it's not about them, they really don't want to hear it and they zone out. You know, one of the things he said to me, I was talking to him one night about something, and I was talking about the first supply, and I said, well, what did she say? And he said, I don't know, I wasn't listening. And he was dumbfounded. I was like, what do you mean you weren't listening? What did she say? He was like, I don't know. She was droning on and on about work, and I just zoned out. And I was like, are you serious? And he was serious. And he wasn't trying to be funny. He was dead serious. He zoned out in the middle of whatever conversation they were having and couldn't even remember what the child said. He remembered, well, he didn't remember. He asked her later, and then he told me. But I couldn't believe that he got bored in the middle of the conversation, zoned out, and didn't hear what the child said. And this was common. He did this all the time with all kinds of people. He probably did it to me too. I just didn't know. Lastly, shows withdrawn behavior rather than listening intensely to others. Exactly, withdrawn behavior. He don't give a shit. He didn't care what she was talking about. Probably didn't care what none of us talking about, for real. Unless it has something to do with him, it's like he not even really listening, you know? And that's bad, because you probably couldn't tell. You know, she probably couldn't tell that he wasn't listening, because most people that do that, they hang on to the last word you say, and then you be like, what did I just say? And they repeat the last sentence, you know, the last word, you know? So he's probably doing something similar to that, but the truth is he didn't care what she had to say. He didn't care what anybody had to say. He cared about himself, getting his needs met, and he never cared about any of us beyond that, you know? And this goes probably for everybody that's in his life. It might be some people he likes more than others, or he cares about more than others, but for the most part, he showed no empathy or compassion unless it benefited him in that moment. Because sometimes he would show compassion, but it was fake compassion just to get a person endeared to him. So you gotta be really careful with these covert narcissists, because they're really good at this. All right, let me see. It's almost time for us to get going. So let's get into our positive comments. Number 1. This is from Maya Karen, 8036. A Keanu fan. Hey, Keanu fan. Keanu Reeves. I showed the Keanu Reeves deck the other day. It's an actual deck that you can use, an oracle deck you can use to give you an inspiration card every day from something that Keanu Reeves would say. I thought it was cute. It had a lot of good ones in it. Sharing. Been liking him since Bill and Ted's Adventure when I was a little girl. Yes, they say he's the nicest actor in Hollywood. That's what I heard. He is always helping people. Also love Constantine. Constantine is amazing, right? Waiting for part 2. And yes, Gabriel, Tilda, Archangel Gabriel is Aquarius. Yeah, Tilda played a great role in that, and Archangel Gabriel is said to be for the sign of Aquarius. Indeed. So if any of you were wondering, Aquarius, who's our archangel? One of them is definitely Gabriel. Gabriel, often some people call Gabriel masculine or Gabrielle in the feminine. It depends on which tradition you're coming from. Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for part 2. Oh, I can't wait. Jordan Oliver 1111. Hey Jordan. Jordan said, I choose to evolve. Yes, always. It's much better than repeating a loop cycle. Gets boring after a while. Yeah, a lot of us repeat loop cycles. From what I understand, spiritually speaking, you repeat a cycle until you get it. So if you want a cycle to stop, if you want something to stop happening to you, figure out what is the lesson there, and it'll stop once you get it. Okay? So I must admit, I've experienced that. So go out there and warn everybody about these covert narcissists. Check over that list of 12 and see if you're living with, dealing with, or around a covert narcissist. And if you are, protect yourself. I'm going to just say flee. Flee, okay? Because if you can get away from them, that's the best thing you can do. Because another thing that they constantly do is lie and gaslight. And those two things can be very emotionally and psychologically damaging if you're with them long enough. Okay? All right, guys, you come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.